It was early morning in Lagos. The streets were alive, noisy buses, fast cars, traders shouting for attention. Sunlight bounced off rooftops, promising heat later in the day. Inside a black SUV, Richard Okoro, 33, tapped his steering wheel impatiently. His eyes flicked to the time on the dashboard. It was 7:45 a.m. He was running late for a major business deal. Richard wasn't the type to be late. He was young, wealthy beyond imagination, and built his empire from the ground up. He wore success like his tailored Navy suit, sharp and clean. But right now his jaw was tight with stress. Traffic was crawling. His phone buzzed with messages. Just as the light turned green, Richard pressed the accelerator. But then, thud! Not a loud crash, more like something soft falling. Richard slammed the brakes. His car jolted to a stop. There, right in front of him, lay a girl. Fruits were rolling across the tarred road. Oranges, bananas, and a few mangoes. A rusted metal tray had clattered beside her. She was pregnant, young and barefoot. Sweat soaked her thin gown. Her arms trembled as if trying to hold on, then gave way. She collapsed. Gasps erupted around. A small crowd began to form. Richard's heart skipped. He opened his door and rushed out. "Hey, are you all right?" he called out, kneeling beside her. No answer. She wasn't moving, just breathing. Shallow, slow. He touched her forehead. It was burning hot. "She's fainted," someone shouted. "She's pregnant," another voice said. "See her bell now." Richard didn't hesitate. He gathered her into his arms gently. Her body was too light, her skin dry. Something twisted in his chest as he looked down at her. There was dust on her face, yet she looked peaceful, beautiful even. He blinked. Why was his heart racing? "She needs a hospital," he said aloud, though mostly to himself. He placed her in the back seat and drove off to the hospital, leaving the spilled fruits and noise behind. At the emergency unit of St. Raphael Hospital, nurses moved quickly. Richard stood aside, watching as they wheeled the girl in. He rubbed the back of his neck, still trying to process what just happened. A nurse came out minutes later. "Are you the one who brought her?" "Yes, I found her on the road. She fainted. She's dehydrated, severe exhaustion, but the baby is okay, thank God." "She's pregnant," Richard repeated under his breath. "But so young." He nodded slowly. "Will she be all right?" "She needs rest. She'll be unconscious for a while," the nurse said gently. Hours passed. Richard sat in the hospital hallway, one leg bouncing nervously. His meeting was long forgotten. His assistant called. He didn't pick. Every time he thought of leaving, his eyes would drift back to the ward door. Why did he care this much? He didn't even know her name. The next day she didn't wake up. Richard brought food, though she couldn't eat it. He sat by her bedside, watching the steady rise and fall of her chest. That night, while the city hummed quietly outside the hospital, Richard sat in the corner of Naomi's room, the glow from the wall light casting a soft shadow across her sleeping face. He would hurry home to change clothes, briefly go to his office to sign business deals, and then come back to the hospital to stay by the side of the pregnant young woman. He didn't understand why. There was something about her. The way her eyebrows drew together even in sleep. The way her fingers curled protectively over her stomach, as if guarding the child within her. He had asked the nurses, but they didn't know much. She had no ID, no phone. She was a stranger, yet Richard felt responsible and connected. In the stillness, he found himself asking, "Who are you? And what happened to you?" But who is Naomi, the pregnant young woman selling fruits in the street? Naomi is the only daughter of Pastor and Mrs. Daniel, a well-respected pastor in town. Her mother has suspected that their daughter was pregnant, but Naomi was very certain that she had never been with a man. However, one fateful afternoon, her father, Pastor Daniel, threw the pregnancy test results, which confirmed that she was pregnant. "No, Daddy, I am not pregnant," Naomi's voice cracked with desperation. "You're lying," her father shouted, his Bible shaking in his hand. "Don't add lies to your shame, Naomi." I haven't done anything," she cried, holding her stomach. "I don't know how. This isn't possible." Her mother wept silently near the doorway, covering her face with her wrapper. "Enough," her father roared. "You've brought disgrace to my house. A pastor's daughter, pregnant without a husband? The devil is using you. I swear. Daddy, please. I've never even kissed a boy. Get out. Daddy, get out. The door slammed behind her as the morning sun hit her eyes. She stood outside the only home she had known, clutching a nylon bag with 2 dresses and little money. Her heart raced, her legs trembled. For the first time, she felt like she didn't belong anywhere. She wandered for hours that day, found a bench outside a pharmacy and sat until dusk. She didn't know what to do, who to talk to. No one would believe her, not even her own parents. The next day, she thought of something strange, a memory, faint but troubling. 2 months ago, she had gone to a private clinic for malaria. It was a simple case of fever. The nurse gave her a shot and told her to rest. But when she woke up, she remembered she felt strange, especially down below. She thought she had dreamed it, so she didn't pay much attention and left the hospital. Now, with her stomach growing and the truth burning her heart, she decided to go back. It took all her courage to return to that hospital. The receptionist raised her brow as Naomi stood at the counter, looking exhausted and afraid. You were here last month, right? Yes, I think something happened. I don't understand it, but I need to see the doctor. After a few minutes, a tall, nervous-looking woman in a white coat appeared. Her name tag read, Dr. Isabella. Come in, Naomi, the doctor said, her voice careful. Too careful. Inside the small office, Naomi sat across from her. Doctor, I need you to tell me the truth. The last time I was here, something happened to me. I don't know how, but I'm pregnant, and I swear I've never been with any man. Dr. Isabella looked down at her file, then up at Naomi. We've been trying to reach you, she said softly. You didn't leave a phone number. Naomi, I owe you an apology. Naomi blinked. Why? There was a mistake. A mix-up during an IVF procedure. We had 2 patients with similar names. You, Naomi Daniels, and another, Naomi Dodoma. Somehow, your file was switched. The fertilization was meant for the other Naomi, but it was mistakenly implanted in you. Naomi's mouth parted. No words came, only a sharp breath. You're telling me I am pregnant for a man I don't know? I'm so sorry, the doctor said, visibly shaken. It was never supposed to happen, but legally, ethically, you have every right to make decisions about the pregnancy. Naomi stared blankly. She didn't even cry. The tears didn't come until she stepped outside. She sat by the gutter, face in her hands, and sobbed like a child. It took her 2 days to build up the courage to find Naomi Dodoma. When she did, the mansion was huge, cream-painted with high gates and flower pots. She knocked until a housekeeper let her inside. Dodoma was seated on a velvet couch, scrolling through her phone. I'm sorry to bother you, Naomi said softly. I'm carrying a baby that was fertilized artificially from your husband. Naomi Dodoma looked up, her expression cold and hard. I know who you are, she said flatly, and I don't care. Naomi's lips trembled. Don't you want your child? No, Dodoma replied, folding her arms. The father is dead, and frankly, I've moved on. You can keep it. Naomi stood there stunned. But this was the child from IVF. Doesn't that mean anything? No, Dodoma said, her voice sharp. Take care of it or don't. That's not my problem. And with that, she turned away. Naomi left the house more broken than when she came. She didn't return to the hospital. She didn't try to call anyone. She simply accepted her fate. She used the last of her savings to buy fruits and began hawking on the roadside, balancing her tray each morning on her head, walking until her feet ached and her throat went dry. She never expected that that fateful morning her body would give up, that her legs would fail her in the middle of the road, that her life would cross paths with a stranger, a man who didn't know he had just found his own child. A few months ago, Naomi Dodoma and Richard Okoro were the most talked about couple in town. Naomi Dodoma was everything the media loved to talk about. Wealthy, glamorous, and always at Richard's side. She was the daughter of a powerful businessman, and she had been with Richard for 2 years. The world saw them as the perfect couple. But Naomi Dodoma had her own reasons for holding on to Richard. Not love, but his fortune. One afternoon at a private hospital in the city, Richard sat across from his doctor, his expression tense. "I'm afraid the results are clear," the doctor said. "Your chances of fathering a child naturally are almost zero. But with IVF, you have one strong embryo. We must act quickly." Richard nodded slowly, then looked over at Naomi Dodoma, who was seated beside him, flipping through a fashion magazine. "Let's do it," he said. "Let's try." Naomi smiled and squeezed his hand. "Of course, baby. Anything for us." Weeks later, everything changed. Naomi Dodoma sat in the doctor's office looking pale. Dr. Isabella had just told her something she wasn't prepared for. There was a mix-up. A woman with the same first name came in for malaria treatment that day. Somehow the embryo was implanted in her by mistake. "We're terribly sorry." Naomi's mouth opened slightly, then closed, then opened again. "You're telling me I'm not pregnant?" The doctor nodded guiltily. The embryo was given to Naomi Daniels. "Who is she?" "She was a walk-in patient. She didn't leave her full contact details." Naomi Dodoma's mind spun wildly. All she could think of was Richard. If he found out, he would do everything in his power to find the woman who was carrying his baby, his only opportunity to be a father. Her family's company was already on the edge of collapse. She needed Richard, or her life would crumble. So she made a decision. She called James, her childhood crush. He was still obsessed with her. Soon she got pregnant the old-fashioned way. And to Richard, she simply said, "The IVF worked. I'm pregnant." Back at the hospital, Naomi Daniels stirred. Now, back to Naomi Daniels and her pregnancy in the hospital. 3 days had passed since she fainted. Her eyes fluttered open, and the first thing she saw was the soft glow of daylight in a figure asleep by her bedside. She blinked again. "Where am I?" Richard stirred, rushed to her side. "You're in the hospital. You fainted. You're okay now." Naomi tried to sit up. "My baby?" "The doctor said you're both fine, just dehydrated." "Thank you," she whispered. Over the next 2 days, Richard brought her food, paid for everything, and stayed quietly by her side. They talked in gentle tones, about nothing and everything. He told her he owned a logistics firm. She didn't ask more. When she was well enough to leave, she quietly checked herself out early in the morning, slipping away before he arrived. She didn't want pity or attachment. She didn't belong in his world. But Richard was shaken when he came back to find her bed empty. "Where is she?" he asked the nurse. "She left." The nurse shrugged. "Didn't say where." From that day, Richard returned to the spot where they met again and again, asking passers-by, fruit sellers, anyone who might have seen her. Most just shook their heads, until one old woman pointed across the road. "She lives in that broken building over there," she said. "The girl with the belly. Quiet girl." Without hesitation, Richard crossed the road. Inside the dusty shell of an uncompleted building, he found her, sitting on a mat, peeling oranges for sale. Naomi looked up, startled. "Richard?" He didn't say a word. He just walked straight to her and hugged her, long and tight. Naomi stood still, heart pounding. "Why?" she asked. "I don't know," he replied, "but I can't leave you here. Come with me." That night, he rented a small, decent apartment for her. Nothing too flashy, but safe and clean. He visited every day after work, sometimes bringing fruit, sometimes just to sit with her and talk. One rainy evening, Naomi sat beside him, holding a warm cup of tea. She looked tired. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Who is the father of your child?" She told him everything. How her parents disowned her, how she swore she was a virgin, but no one believed her, how the hospital confessed the IVF mistake, how Naomi Dodoma slammed the door in her face and said the baby's father was dead. "I decided to raise the baby myself," she finished, her voice cracking, "even if it kills me." Richard was silent for a long moment. He reached for her hand. "You're the bravest woman I've ever met." But he still didn't know the full truth. Then one afternoon, his phone rang. It was Dr. Isabella. "I have to tell you something. I should have told you long ago. Your fiancé begged me not to tell you, but I can't keep silent anymore." Dr. Isabella confessed everything. The IVF error, the mistaken identity, the embryo, and Naomi Daniels returned to the hospital. Richard was stunned. That child is mine? Yes, I'm so sorry, Richard. He hung up, heart racing. But before going to Naomi Daniels, he needed answers. He went to Naomi Dodoma's apartment. The door was slightly open. As he stepped in, he heard laughter. Hers, and another man's voice. He stopped. Inside, Naomi Dodoma was in James's arms, laughing. The two clinked wine glasses together. I can't believe Richard still thinks the baby is his. James chuckled. Naomi smirked. Let him. His money is all I need. Richard could not believe his ears. His fiancée has been deceiving him all these while. He stepped back quietly, shock slamming into him like a wave. He left without a word. That night he went to Naomi Daniels. She was surprised to see him, standing in the rain like a man reborn. He knelt before her. That baby is mine, he said. Naomi gasped, tears rushing to her eyes. What? I was the one. The IVF. It was my embryo. You're carrying my child. I just found out the truth. She couldn't speak. Her hands trembled over her belly. I don't want to lose you, Richard continued. You've been through so much. But I want to walk the rest of this journey with you. I love you, Naomi. You are my angel. He took out a small box, opened it. Will you marry me, Naomi Daniels? Through her tears, she nodded. Yes, she whispered. Richard kissed Naomi passionately. Their wedding was simple but beautiful. Naomi, glowing in a white dress, held Richard's hand tightly. Her parents were there too. They realized they had misjudged their daughter and had begged for forgiveness. Guests clapped. A new beginning was born. Later, in a quiet room, a baby's cry filled the air. Naomi smiled as Richard held their newborn son for the first time. As for Naomi Dodoma, things were very rough with their family business. The news of the birth of Richard's son made her very angry. Sometimes fate takes the longest route to bring love home.